and welcome to Real Moves for Real Life. I'm Lisa Workman, clinical exercise physiologist, professional kinesiologist, and yoga therapist, here to help you move your body better and more often. And this is the second installment of hand gestures that won't get you into trouble. I got 5 more for you that are going to help connect you to your forearms, wrists, and hands. And don't forget those digits. They're included as well. If we can get some mobility and stability through those joints and areas, we can definitely function better in our day-to-day lives. You know, imagine if you are being asked to carry a heavy jug of milk. You know those 4-liter jugs or maybe 4-gallon jugs, depending on where you live? Those can be really quite heavy. It requires a lot of strength in the forearms, strength in the hands, strength in the wrists. So, you know, demands are put on us every single day through day-to-day activities. And so why not take a little laser focus into the hands and the gestures that they do to help support us in those movement patterns. So let's get started. There's 5 more movements that I want to share, 5 more hand gestures that I promise won't get you in trouble. All right, let's get started with these 5 additional hand gestures that won't get you into trouble. Here we are at my kitchen table. Got a nice firm surface to rest my arm on. There's also one other thing that I want you to consider grabbing for yourself. And this one might be things that you might not have at home, so you might want to plan ahead. Good old silly putty. You can pick it up at the dollar store, really easy, $1.25 to get yourself a little container. It's going to help us with our next hand gesture exercises. If that doesn't work and you don't have silly putty in your neighborhood, you know what? Good old-fashioned childhood Play-Doh is also an option. It is more likely to break apart, though, I would argue. Silly putty has a bit more thickness to it, if I could use that word. So just be watchful that whatever you choose, you are working on the movements and having to reset your silly putty or your Play-Doh might be required throughout. Alrighty, so let's move on to these next exercises. And I'm going to come up to a seated position here for the first one in the series. Here we are setting up at the tabletop. My elbow is bent, my wrist is on the edge of the table once more, and I'm sitting up nice and tall, feeling the support of the arm on the table. From here, we're going to take our arm and flip it. So now the palm is facing up. So I'm flipping and then flipping back. Flip over and back. See if you can feel the movement come from the elbow, but the elbow stays in contact with the table. The hand, although it feels like it is moving, because it is, good proprioception, you should be able to feel your hand moving there in space. But really, truly, that movement is not from the wrist, not from the fingers. It's coming all the way from my elbow. I'm rotating these 2 forearm bones to allow that action to occur. So keep the hand gentle and soft. Again, we're moving with ease. Let's work on moving to a point where we aren't feeling a whole amount of tension. We'd like to train our bodies to move with ease and not with tension. Okay, awesome. So we've moved our forearms, flipped the hand over and over, moving from the elbows. Fantastic. Then from here, keep the palm facing up. So we come to this position now where our palm is now facing the ceiling. And this is where the fun begins. We grab our silly putty. We can roll it up into a bit of a ball here. We'll place it in our hands. In this position now, we're going to squeeze that silly putty as hard as we can. So from a visual perspective, I've got it in my hand, I've brought my fingers and I'm squeezing. Now again, I like the support of the table because it allows you to really focus on the movements of the fingers and the palm of the hand. So a good squeeze. Now the fun part of this, what we can do is as we squeeze, we can take the wrist up and back to neutral and then down. So you may recall in our first video about hand gestures here, we use this movement as well, we layered on the hand squeeze with the ball or the roll of socks. We're doing the same sort of thing, except we flipped the position of the arm in space. Holy Dinah, can I feel this one right now? I'm going to release that putty and let it go. Might need to just bring the arm into some movement. And then for our third movement pattern, we're actually going to adjust so that the silly putty is now on the tabletop. Now, again, the Play-Doh can work, and I can show you with both of them. But again, there's definitely less to play with here with this piece of Play-Doh. So I'll show you that one first. So I'm going to bring my fingertips and bend the fingertips as I place them onto the Play-Doh. From here, I'm going to press my fingers straight into that Play-Doh, down and flattening my palm onto the table. So essentially you've taken the mound of Play-Doh and allowed it to flatten out. Now you can see there's quite a bit of cracking in the Play-Doh versus when we play with the putty, it's much more firm. We can stick our fingers, bending them and then pressing and straightening them out. Now trying to keep the wrist in the same position it started in, because the tendency might be, let's do this again, to actually drive the hand forward and move through the forearm and the wrist, when in fact, we want to just focus on using the fingers. So here they are on that putty, pressing down, down, straightening out and flattening out the putty. Wrist stayed in the exact same spot. And there we have it. The putty survived a little bit more, less cracking that the Play-Doh does. Alrighty, heading into our last and final movement for our wrist. We'll come back to the forearm. Elbow is still bent, holding that nice position. And then from here, we're going to let the hand tick-tock from side to side. Oh, that feels good. Moving through a different range of motion, allowing the wrist to go side to side instead of up and down. Can be almost like the cherry on top here, feeling really nice to move. Now, if you want to have another visual, if I can find that visual here, we're just moving the hand from side to side. Fingers stay about the same. The movement is coming from the wrist. Well, isn't that awesome? We went through 5 more hands gestures that won't get you into trouble, and I hope you give them a try. Well, how was that? Did you get a little fiery in the forearms? You feel a little tingly in the fingers? Are you feeling movement in those areas of your body? I bet you are, if you've tried these 5 additional wrist and forearm and truly hand gesture exercises. Now, if you missed the first installment, don't worry, I dropped the link down in the description box down below. And if you're finding this content valuable, I'd really appreciate it if you give this video a good old-fashioned thumbs up. And you know what? Who else would really like you to give a thumbs up? You know, my buddy, Mr. Harrison. And if only his hands worked like that, he can't give a thumbs up, but you know what I mean. You can hit that thumbs up button and maybe subscribe, hitting that bell notification to know when the next video that I do drops. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. And I really do hope that these movements help you in your day-to-day life. Again, I'm Lisa Workman, clinical exercise physiologist, professional kinesiologist, and yoga therapist, here to help you move your body better and more often. I am happy, most happy, to be here helping you on your physical activity journey. See you again. Bye.